When no becomes a pattern, the BPD dynamic of reversing control. There's a very specific kind of relational confusion that can happen with someone who struggles with BPD traits, and it often shows up in small, almost everyday moments. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like this. You can get more sprinkles on your ice cream if you want. Nope. Can you translate this for me? Nope. Can you turn off the light when you leave? Nope. But then later, let me straighten up your room for you. Yes, but only on their terms. And if you circle back and say, "Hey, I'm ready for you to take you up on that offer. You can straighten up my room now." Suddenly, it's a nope. What's really going on underneath? On the surface, it can feel confusing, frustrating, even oppositional. But underneath, it's often less about the task and more about control, vulnerability, and emotional safety. For someone with BPD tendencies, even simple interactions can carry deeper meanings like, am I being controlled? Am I being relied on too much? What happens if I say yes? Do I lose autonomy? If I offer, I'm safe. If I'm asked, I feel exposed. So the pattern becomes I give on my terms, but I resist when I feel expected. Why no feels safer than yes? Saying no can actually feel like maintaining independence, avoiding pressure, preventing potential disappointment, even if the request is simple and kind, because for them, the risk isn't the task, it's the feeling underneath it. A small request can internally register as obligation and loss of freedom, or even emotional closeness they are not ready for. So, no becomes a way to keep distance and stay regulated. The confusion it creates for others. For the person on the receiving end, it can feel like, why offer something, then refuse it later? Why push me away when I ask, but move closer when you choose? Why does everything have to be reversed? It creates a subtle but powerful instability. You start to feel like you have to time things perfectly, not ask directly, wait for their version of giving. And over time, that can start to feel like walking on eggshells. The quiet power struggle. At its core, this pattern often becomes an unspoken dynamic. If you initiate, they resist. If they initiate, it's acceptable. Not because they want control in a manipulative way, but because control feels like emotional safety. It protects against feeling needed in a way that overwhelms them, feeling dependent or exposed, or feeling like they might fail or disappoint. The heart of it all, a gentle understanding. This kind of behavior usually doesn't come from coldness or lack of care. It often comes from someone who feels things deeply, gets overwhelmed easily, tries to manage closeness in the only way they know. So instead of saying, I feel vulnerable when I'm asked, it comes out as no. What you can take from this. If you're on the receiving end of this pattern, here are a few grounded truths to hold on to. It's not about the sprinkles, the light, or the room. It's about who is initiating and how safe that feels to them. Don't over adjust yourself to avoid their no. Healthy relationships don't require you to stop asking for basic needs, wait to be offered everything, and silence yourself to keep peace. Watch the overall pattern, not just moments. One no is normal, but if offers are only valid when they initiate, requests are consistently rejected, the dynamic feels one sided. It's worth paying attention to. Healthy love allows both asking and giving. In a grounded relationship, you can ask without fear. They can say yes without feeling trapped. Giving and receiving flows both ways, not just when one person controls the timing. This pattern can be incredibly subtle but deeply impactful. It creates a quiet kind of confusion where you start wondering, am I asking wrong? Should I just wait? Why does something so small feel so complicated? But real healthy connection doesn't make you feel like you have to earn access through perfect timing. It allows room for requests, responses, and mutual ease because at the end of the day, love should not only be something that is offered when convenient, It should also be something that is available when genuinely needed. I knew someone who was a BPD who wanted to learn how to set boundaries. So her therapist started helping her to do that because she had family members that were asking her to pay their rent. But she started to overcorrect and do this with everything. So it's like their brain goes, I need to stop people pleasing, but it accidentally turns into say no to everything so I don't lose myself. So at the beginning, when somebody is learning to set boundaries, especially in therapy, it can come out overcorrected at first. So what's likely happening is early boundary setting often looks rigid. When someone hasn't had solid boundaries before, they don't start balanced, they start extreme. So instead of saying, I'll say yes when I want and no when I don't, it becomes default to no so I don't feel controlled or obligated. It's not refined yet, it's protection mode. Being asked feels like pressure even when it's not. For this person, the difference isn't the task, it's the direction. If they offer, they feel in control. If you ask, it can feel like expectation. So, even something kind like, you can get more sprinkles, or can you turn off the light? Internally may trigger, I'm being told what to do. I have to protect my autonomy. So, the automatic response is no. It becomes a pattern, not a personal attack. This is important. It can feel personal, but it's often systemic behavior, not targeted rejection. Still, the impact on the receiver of it is real. So, what do you do about it? You want to respond in a way that is respectful of their growth, but also protects your own clarity and peace. So, here's a grounded way to protect it. Name the pattern calmly, not critically. You don't have to accuse, just observe out loud. Example, I've noticed something I want to understand. When I ask you for something small, it's often a no, but when you offer it, it's different. Can you help me understand that? This does a few things. Brings awareness without attacking and gives them a chance to reflect. Separates you from the problem. Stop over negotiating simple requests. Don't shrink your normal behavior to avoid their no. Healthy relationships allow for asking, responding, and occasional no without tension. If you start adapting like, I won't ask anymore, or I'll wait until they offer, you unintentionally reinforce the imbalance. Don't reward the push-pull dynamic. If they say no when you ask, but later offer the same thing, pause before immediately accepting. Not out of punishment, but clarity. You can say, I appreciate the offer. I just want things to feel natural both ways, not like I can only receive when you initiate. Protect your internal clarity. This is the most important part. Don't let this pattern make you question whether you're asking too much, whether something simple is wrong, because your examples are normal, healthy, everyday requests. If those consistently get rejected, that's data. Watch for growth, not just intentions. If this is truly coming from therapy work, you may see gradual softening, more flexibility over time, more balanced responses. But if it stays rigid, sided, control based, then it's not just learning boundaries, it's becoming a relational barrier. A simple ground rule going forward. You can center yourself around this. In a healthy connection, I should be able to both ask and receive without everything depending on timing or control. The honest bottom line, you don't need to confront aggressively, diagnose them, or fix their process, but you do need to stay anchored in what healthy interaction looks like and communicate calmly. Not lose your own voice trying to accommodate their no. So there's a difference between setting boundaries, I can say no when needed, and living in resistance. I default to no to feel safe. What you're seeing sounds closer to the second, which is living in resistance. I default to no to feel safe. That's what you could be feeling from somebody who's BPD, who is learning to set boundaries. So over time, a relationship cannot thrive if one person can only give on their terms and the other person has to earn every yes. So, hey, beautiful people. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments and what topics you want me to explore next. Your feedback means so much to me. Let's keep this adventure going. Don't break up with me. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. Check out my books on Amazon for insights on enhancing your love life, navigating narcissistic personalities, and exploring the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types. Links are in the description. You're amazing, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.